From New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Fierce fighting in northern Gaza as aid starts to roll off US-built pier. Israeli military recovers bodies of 3 hostages from Gaza. David DePape, who attacked US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, sentenced to 30 years in prison. Last day of campaigning for the 5th phase of India's general elections. 49 parliamentary constituencies across 8 states will go to polls on May 20th. Hollywood veteran Nicolas Cage returns to Cannes to premiere The Surfer. And star Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty sail into the semifinals of Thailand Open 2024. Women's doubles pair of Tanisha Crasto and Ashwini Ponappa also toil hard to enter the last 4. The first shipments of humanitarian assistance arrived on the shores of Gaza through the multinational humanitarian pier. The White House said additional and from the US was arriving in Cyprus to be loaded onto ships for delivery into Gaza via the new pier. In a post on social media, US President Joe Biden said the need to get increased aid to the most vulnerable is urgent. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby also said the United States has a robust security plan to protect personnel involved in operating the pier, as a small number of US troops are involved in helping facilitate the aid from ships to the pier and for security purposes. The Israeli army also released footage on Saturday showing the arrival of humanitarian aid. This delivery takes place as Israel comes under growing global pressure to allow more supplies into Gaza. The temporary floating pier was pre-assembled at the Israeli port of Ashdod and moved into place on Thursday on the shore of Gaza, which lacks port infrastructure of its own. The pier operation is estimated to cost $320 million and involve 1,000 US troops. Now, Israeli forces retrieved the bodies of 3 hostages from the Gaza Strip, identified as Shani Luke, Amit Buskila and Yitzhak Gelatrena. Those people were murdered by Hamas terrorists while escaping the Nova Music Festival on October 7, and the bodies were taken into Gaza. The Israeli government had confirmed the death of German-Israeli Luke, a 23-year-old tattoo artist, in late October. A video that circulated on social media at the time showed her half-naked body slung across the back of a pickup truck and paraded through Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised the military operation in a statement on Friday and reiterated a pledge to return all the hostages, the living and the deceased alike.
It was with a heavy heart that I share the news that last night the Israel Defense Forces and ISA forces rescued the bodies of our hostages, Shani Luke, Amit Buskila and Yitzhak Glerenter, who were taken hostage during the Hamas massacre on October 7th and they were murdered by Hamas. Their bodies were transferred to medical professionals for forensic examination and identification. After the procedure was completed, we notified their families. Our hearts go out to them, to the families, at this difficult time. We will leave no stone unturned. We will do everything in our power to find our hostages and bring them home.
Now, Israeli forces battled Hamas fighters in the narrow alleyways of Jabalia in northern Gaza on Friday, while in the south terrorist attack tanks marching around Rafah. Israeli armor had thrust as far as the market at the heart of Jabalia, the largest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps, and that bulldozers were demolishing homes and shops in the path of the advance. The Israel Defense Forces said troops killed more than 60 militants in Jabalia in recent days and located a weapons warehouse in a divisional level offensive. A divisional operation would typically involve several brigades of thousands of troops each, making it one of the biggest of the war. Israel says it must capture Rafah to destroy Hamas and ensure the country's safety. An Israeli airstrike on the Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank killed Hamas terrorists and 8 others wounded on Friday. The Israeli military said a fighter jet and helicopter conducted the strike, which is a rarity in the West Bank. Israel said it struck a compound used as an operation center by terrorists and confirmed the killing of Islam Khamenei, who was responsible for several attacks against Israelis. The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has urged more Indian Americans to run for elected office, saying they are currently underrepresented given their growing population in the U.S. It comes as Indian Americans from across the country gather in Washington, D.C. to organize ahead of the U.S. presidential election. DD India's Kate Fisher sent us the report.
From grassroots activism to running for office, Indian Americans are a burgeoning force in US politics. And with less than 6 months to go until the presidential election here, politicians, activists, artists and community leaders have gathered in Washington to try to work out how to increase their impact. And there's no time to waste on that, according to US Vice President Kamala Harris, who says that at the moment, not enough Indian Americans are running for office. Well, some of those already elected to the US Congress have offered their inspiration.
When I was first elected in 2012, I was the only Indian American member of Congress. Now there's 5 of us, and you see all these candidates running around the country. So it's not just running for office. You see folks that are running campaigns, that are, in high positions in the administration or on Capitol Hill or in state houses. So I think it's an ascendancy. And from the Biden campaign, we know in critical states like Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, that are states that are in play, the Indian American population, if we get good turnout, can be the difference.
There are some critical states around the country, Arizona, where Indian Americans can make the difference in a House seat, but also in the presidential race. And so I think our goal is to make sure that we're engaging the population, that we're turning them out to vote, that we're getting them excited, that we're building up the momentum, and helping people to see that Indian Americans are becoming more and more prominent, and we want their voices and we want their engagement.
But the war in Gaza could turn out to be a stumbling block on the campaign trail.
The shift in U.S. policy is absolutely essential if we are going to win back voters across the country for whom it is very difficult for them to listen to our economic message. As I said to him, we can't get in the door to talk about your message, Mr. President, because we need to have a shift on Gaza. And if we have that, then we can earn back the votes.
This year's US presidential election is one of the closest in history, meaning that the millions of Indian American voters will be more vital than ever in deciding who will lead the country for the next 4 years. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
A family and friends of a black U.S. Air Force senior airman who was shot and killed in his Florida apartment by a sheriff's deputy have gathered for the funeral service in Georgia. Bidding an emotional farewell to airmen, family demands justice for their son and warned people not to open the door to the police. A Florida County sheriff last week released body camera video of a deputy fatally shooting Watson, who had a handgun at his side in his apartment, after civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents the family, urged officials to release it. The video shows Watson opening the door and holding a handgun at his side and pointed down. The deputy immediately opens fire multiple times at the close range. Watson later died in the hospital. And the man who broke into former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home in 2022 and assaulted her husband with a hammer, was sentenced to 30 years in prison on Friday. In a politically motivated attack, David DePape forcibly entered Pelosi's home in San Francisco early in the morning on October 28, 2022, which was just a week before that year's congressional elections. At the time, Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, was in Washington. DePape acknowledged in trial testimony that his intention was to take Pelosi hostage. Paul Pelosi suffers skull fractures and other injuries that have continued to affect him. In a letter, Nancy Pelosi urged the judge to impose a very long punishment. And some of Europe's leading tech experts have gathered in Berlin to discuss the future opportunities and challenges presented by artificial intelligence. One major focus of the conference was the growing AI collaborations taking place between business and government, with European experts saying India will be key to ensuring AI can play a positive role in global development. From Berlin, DD India's Trent Murray reports.
It's always tricky to predict the future, but for tech experts gathering in the German capital, one thing is clear: AI is coming, whether we like it or not.
With the blueprint of the AI governance instrument, totally. It's a very bound task, it's a very difficult task, of course.
The Rise of AI conference brings together over 200 of the best and brightest in artificial intelligence, mapping out what the world will look like as the technology continues to make inroads in manufacturing, financial services, healthcare and security.
How we can accelerate, how we can speed up. We have the entrepreneurs, we have the capital, but not enough capital. It's more like the Americans are doing very good, very fast. China is very strong on it. And Germany is ambitious, but too slow, very European slow. So we want to reduce regulation and want more incentives, more. Let's rock this together.
Now, India's tech industry body predicts that the country's artificial intelligence market will be worth over $17 billion by the year 2027, growing at an annualized rate of 35% over the next 3 years. And those are numbers that have caught the attention of many here in Europe. Experts say investors see India as a hot topic of conversation amongst the sector, given its enormous talent pool.
Everyone asks me about India. India is a democracy, so values are the right ones. Third, it has a lot of technical expertise, and I think they are destined to do it. And India is perfect for this because they have the power, the intelligence, and the right values.
And with everything from free trade negotiations to increasing bilateral investment, the current political and business landscape suggests that cooperation will continue to strengthen between Europe and New Delhi, as both sides map out a future that will increasingly be dominated by developments in artificial intelligence. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
And a small restaurant in Mexico measuring just 3 square meters has been granted the first ever Michelin star, breaking records for being the only taco shop among the 18 Mexican businesses to win the prestigious prize. A taco shop in Mexico City has become the first to win a Michelin star. Opened in 1968, the taco stand has been wowing taste buds with its fine cuts of meat, the scorching technique of its grill, as well as fiery salsa recipes. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un accelerates production to shore up nuclear force. On the same day, he oversaw a test of tactical ballistic missiles with new guidance system. State media reports that the order was to combat enemies' reckless military confrontation and bolster nuclear war deterrence. This comes after North Korea test-fired a number of short-range ballistic missiles towards the sea of its east coast on Friday. Friday's launches came a day after the US and South Korea conducted joint drills with stealth fighter jets simulating air combat. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The hospital director confirmed that Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico is conscious, though his condition remains serious. Following a visit to the hospital, Deputy Prime Minister Robert Kaljaniak stated that it will take several days for doctors to determine Fico's recovery. The King's Gallery in Buckingham Palace has opened an interesting exhibition on Friday, showcasing some of the unseen images as well. Themed Royal Portraits, a century of photography. The exhibition features more than 150 photographic prints, proofs and documents from the Royal Collection and the Royal Archives. Well, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Last day of campaigning for the fifth phase of general elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold rallies in Haryana's Ambala and Sonipat. India's Ministry of External Affairs reiterates its stand on Jammu and Kashmir. And in Indian Premier League, Lucknow Super Giants win by 18 runs as Mumbai Indians finished last in the IPL standings.
We are looking at a seminal relationship that is redefining world politics, the so-called no-limits strategic partnership between Russia and China.
These two countries are actually trying to create a world order which moves away from Brussels and Washington DC.
If you look at any chance of a conflict between India and China, it would be very difficult for us to imagine that Russia would put all its weight behind India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Now let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. So last day of campaigning for the fifth phase of general elections is in full throttle. Across India, as political leaders leave no stone unturned to sway the voters in their favour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold rallies in Haryana's Ambala and Sonipat. Later in the day, PM to hold public meeting in Yamuna Khadar in northeast Delhi. Senior BJP leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah to visit Uttar Pradesh today, where he will be holding rallies in Jhansi, Banda and Amethi. BJP President JP Nadda to hold public meeting in Himachal Pradesh's Kangra, Chamba and Solan. Also, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will visit Maharashtra today. He will be holding several rallies in Dhule, Palgad, North Mumbai and Middle Mumbai. In an attempt to woo voters in party's favour, political leaders holding rallies in several parts of the country. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi to hold a rally in Uttar Pradesh's Barabanki and New Delhi's Chandni Chowk. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge will also hold a press conference. Bahujan Samaj Party Supremo Mayawati to hold rally in Basti district of Uttar Pradesh today. Now, India's Ayodhya gears up for the 2024 general elections in fifth phase. The focus has sharply shifted to extensive development projects transforming this city. Here's a report by DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera.
The development projects at Ayodhya aims to blend its rich cultural heritage with modern amenities, positioning it as a world-class city. The emphasis on infrastructure, tourism and urban development aligns with the broader vision of making Ayodhya a major religious and cultural hub. With the elections approaching, these development initiatives are seen as a crucial element of the political narrative, highlighting the government's dedication to progress and modernization. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent visit underscored the government's commitment to Ayodhya's growth.
Ayodhya is getting its recognition on international platform and tourists are coming from all over the world, and we are very, very, very happy about it. But at the same time, as a voter, we need more. We need medical facilities in Ayodhya. Every single time, if there is any case of emergency, we have to rush to another city, and which is a big problem here.
In Ayodhya, there is a lot of beautification is going on. That's so nice. We are getting a vibe of being in an Ayodhya, a place, ritual place. But there is a need of ground level work. We need education. We need good educational institute, good medical institute.
This election in Ayodhya is not just about choosing representatives. It is a contest over the vision for the city's future, balancing its rich heritage with the aspirations of its residents for progress and development. Overall developments will play a significant role when it comes to electoral landscape of Ayodhya, as the city's transformation continues to garner national and international attention. With camera person Yogesh Tiwari, I am Kriti Vadhera reporting from Ayodhya Dham for DD India.
And India's Ministry of External Affairs has reiterated its stand on Jammu and Kashmir, saying union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir are an inseparable part of India. In the weekly Prasar, India's External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal said the protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are the result of the exploitative policies of Pakistan, which deny the local people their rights over resources and its benefits.
हम लोगों ने रिपोर्ट देखा है कि पिछले कुछ दिनों में वहाँ पर विरोध प्रदर्शन हुआ, उसमें कुछ लोग हताहत हुए। ये विरोध ये परिणाम है वहाँ पर जिस प्रकार की नीतियाँ चल रही हैं, वहाँ के संसाधन को जिस प्रकार से लूटा जा रहा है, वहाँ के लोगों को जितना दूर रखा जा रहा है इन संसाधन से, अपने संसाधन से उनका लाभ नहीं पहुँच रहा है। इस कारण से ये हो रहा है और जो वहाँ का तंत्र है वहाँ पर लोगों का वो एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं। हम लोगों ने पहले भी कहा है, जहाँ तक पाकिस्तान अधिकृत कश्मीर की बात है, यूनियन टेरिटरीज जो जम्मू के, लद्दाख के और कश्मीर के जो हैं वो भारत के अभिन्न अंग हैं, अभिन्न अंग रहेंगे। ये हमारा ये हमारा बल है।
India also stressed its commitment with Chabahar port and said that they realize its potential as a connectivity hub for Afghanistan and Central Asian countries which are landlocked.
For the operation of Chabahar port, our minister was there. This has obviously it's a major achievement for us. We see Chabahar as India's commitment towards realizing the potential of the place as a connectivity hub for Afghanistan and for landlocked Central Asian countries. Our External Affairs Minister also spoke on this matter in several forums recently, where he said that we should not take a narrow view of this particular project. It has an important role to play as far as the region is concerned, connectivity is concerned, particularly for the landlocked countries in the area.
Sports now. Star Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty sailed into the semifinals with a straight game win over Malaysians Junaid Arif and Roy King Yap at the Thailand Open on Friday. The world number 3 Indian duo picked up a straight 21-7, 21-14 win over Arif and Yap in the quarterfinals of the Super 500 tournament. They will next face Chinese Taipei's Lu Mingxie and Tang Kai Wei in the last 4 stage. Meanwhile, women's doubles pair of Tanisha Crasto and Ashwini Punappa toiled hard for 1 hour and 16 minutes to move to the semifinals. They registered 21-15, 21-23, 21-19 victory over 6-seed South Korean duo of Lee Yu Lim and Shen Seung Shan. They will next face top seeds Thai shuttlers in the semifinals. In Indian Premier League, Lucknow Super Giants registered an 18-run victory over the lowest placed Mumbai Indians to secure 2 points on Friday. However, Lucknow still has no chance of qualifying for the playoff. Chasing the target of 215 in 20 overs, Mumbai Indians struggled after Rohit Sharma got out and no batsman looked like chasing the target except Namandhir's innings in the middle. MI have now ended their journey in this season on a losing note, and their disappointing run ended with a loss against Lucknow Super Giants. And Hollywood veteran Nicolas Cage appeared on the Cannes Film Festival red carpet on Saturday to premiere his new movie, The Surfer. The Australia-set film is a part of the festival's midnight screenings section and Irish director Lorcan Finnegan's first feature film to be presented at the cinema showcase. Cage waved at fans and posed for photographers as he made his way up the iconic steps outside the Thailand Festival to attend the film's world premiere. He had previously attended Cannes for David Lynch's 1990 film Wild at Heart, which won that year's Palme d'Or. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.